We've been in lockdown for many weeks now, and to be honest, I didn't really think the rules were that complicated, and neither did the government ministers.
Stay at home.
Stay at home.
Stay at home
to protect our NHS
and save lives.
and to save lives.
The Prime Minister seemed pretty clear too.
Stay at home, protect our NHS and save lives.
Which is weird because at his press conference on Sunday, the rules seem to have changed slightly.
In travelling to find the right kind of childcare, I think he followed the instincts of every father and every parent.
Boris Johnson was backing his chief advisor Dominic Cummings after it was revealed he travelled to Durham to see his family while his wife had coronavirus symptoms. Let's just remind you of that advice again.
Stay at home, protect our NHS and save lives.
So here's what happened. On Friday night, journalists revealed that Dominic Cummings had travelled with his wife and his child to Durham, 270 miles away from their London home. At the time, his wife had coronavirus symptoms, so in accordance with government policy, they should have been self-isolating for 2 weeks.
You must stay at home.
Cummings said he travelled there for childcare, which he and the Prime Minister argue is allowed.
And I do not mark him down for that.
But they'd never said that travelling for childcare was allowed before this, which is one of the reasons why the public are so angry. Cummings was reportedly spotted in Durham a further 2 times after his isolation finished. Now he and the Prime Minister deny this, but Durham police are now investigating the incident.
There have been many other allegations about what happened when he was in self-isolation and thereafter, some of them palpably false.
Many people are baffled that the Prime Minister is mounting such a rigorous defence of Dominic Cummings. In doing so, he's undermining the lockdown rules, and the public have lost a lot of faith in the government. I think Robert Peston pretty much spoke for the nation at the press conference.
We'll go to Gary Gibbon of Channel 4, please.
Boris Johnson is burning through a lot of political capital with the public, Conservative MPs, and with the social media team at the UK Civil Service. So why is he doing it? Boris Johnson worked with Dominic Cummings during the EU referendum in 2016. Cummings led the Vote Leave campaign and is credited with a lot of its success. A few years later, Boris Johnson brought him on to help get the Brexit deal through the House of Commons, and a few months later, he helped bring the Conservatives to a stomping victory at the election.
We did it! We did it! We pulled it off, didn't we?
Boris Johnson really depends on Dominic Cummings for his ideas and his advice, and losing someone that's that influential at the top of government during a crisis that's this big could be hugely damaging, which is why he might be reluctant to get rid of him. So the hope in government is that they'll be able to just ride it out, that the story doesn't have much cut through with the general public, and it's only journalists and people that really care about politics that know much about the story. There's so much going on at the moment that that's not a bad bet. News cycles during this crisis is tiny and things can change very quickly, but this story seems to have reached the public in a way that the Prime Minister hasn't quite realised.
She won't even entertain me in her garden with a tent.
Would you recommend Bernard Castle for a day out?
They weren't journalists shouting at Dominic Cummings, they were members of the public. They were not only angry at his blatant disregard for the rules, but also his attitude and the way that he's dealt with the media and the public since this scandal started.
Social distancing?
Not a good look though, is it, Mr. Cummings?
Who cares about good looks? Well, it's a question of doing the right thing. It's not about what you guys think.
People are angry, but Boris Johnson seems to be doubling down on his defence. As I'm recording this, Dominic Cummings still has his job, but I suspect pressure will continue to grow from the public and from Conservative MPs who would like to see him resign. A few Tory MPs have publicly voiced their frustration, and privately there's increasing pressure on WhatsApp groups for Dominic Cummings to go. It seems likely that Dominic Cummings will have to resign, but this political scandal could prompt a far greater health crisis if the public lose faith in the government and its messaging, prompting potentially a second wave of the coronavirus that's already killed more than 36,000 people in the UK.